Today we are going to be looking at the Sonic the Hedgehog minifigure collector set released by First 4 Figures from, I'm pretty sure, 2010 or something, because in case if you don't know, First 4 Figures got the license to make Sonic toys around the late 2000s, and that was when the first wave of these figurines came out. You see, the first wave had Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles for wave 1, and it came out somewhere during the late 2000s. Wave 2 came out in 2010, and it had Supersonic, Amy, and Metal Sonic. And that was also when, this 6-pack came out. And now, the version I have, this has been re-released a couple times. This version I have is a Jazzwares re-release, released during Sonic's 20th anniversary. And even though I am reviewing something released by Jazzwares, this is not an episode of Jazz Reviews, because these are not, originally made Jazzwares figures. They're, existing molds from a different company. So let's take a look at these figures. So here is Sonic, and he's a pretty okay, well actually I don't think he's okay. He's actually a pretty good likeness of classic Sonic. It just feels like there's a lot of better classic Sonic figures out there, but his pose is pretty nice. There are some flubs, but hey, it's a Jazzwares release. It even says if the camera will focus. I checked the copyright dates on some of them, and they don't say First 4 Figures for some reason, even though these are not, Jazzwares' original molds. If only if the camera will focus. One of them says copyright Sega, and the other one... Why won't the camera focus? But anyways, it just says Jazzwares Inc. made in China on this foot. Oh, now the camera's focusing. Will bite my biscuits. In comparison, here is the classic Sonic figure from Tomy, which another reason why I really like this pack is that these figures are in scale with the Tomy classic Sonic figures, and they're even more scaled to the Jazzwares figures. More so than the actual classic Sonic figures made by Jazzwares. Here is the Tomy modern Sonic figure, just for comparison's sake. Oh, I also want to warn you, because this set is very infamous for being bootlegged. So, basically, if the Sonic's light blue color, if it's really lighter than usual and his nose isn't painted, it's fake. Also, if his shoes, his red shoes, the red area of the shoes, if they're not in a, bright red color and instead being a darkish brown color, it's fake. Now, you probably already know this by now, but Tails, Tomy's Tails is a pretty infamous figure. Even though a lot of people like me like this, everyone else hates it. But one reason is not just because of how Tomy placed the legs on the torso, because this figure has to be small, but a lot of people criticized his scale because he was around the height of a classic figure. But that was just because not only was he pre-posed, so both of his legs are bent in a certain way, but it's also not because of the flaw of the modern Tails figure. It's actually the flaw of the classic Tails, because even in the classic universe and the modern universe, Tails is shorter than Sonic. That was not the case for the classic figure. So, First 4 Figures made a much accurate looking Tails by making him short. And even though this Tails does not have a lot of articulation, I definitely think his scale is an improvement compared to the Tomy Tails. So, in my definitive 3-inch Sonic collection, I'm going to be replacing Tomy Tails with the Tails figurine from F4F. Also, how to avoid bootlegs of this guy. You see his bangs? If they're awkwardly placed, it's fake. Also, if, like with Sonic, if the red area of the shoes, they're painted in this darkish brown color, they're definitely fake. Definitely one of my favorites in the set. So here is Metal Sonic, and this is basically a figurine of the Tomy figure, because they're in a similar pose, except he's much more shinier and badass. And as you can see, they did paint it in the back jet, since First 4 Figures is known for giving a lot of details on their $500 statues. And I ordered this from a Chinese seller, even though these were not bootlegs. They were like from like a factory that had like leftover stock of them. And you could see that the legs on some of the characters are like not flat because when I opened these figures, they were kind of cold. Like, they felt cold. Now they're room temperatured because, importing it from China. But he has a pretty cool figure. Here is the Tomy figure, which is a little bit shorter, but that's because he is post. I'm not so sure if I want to replace the Tomy classic Metal Sonic figure with this one, or should I just keep the Tomy Metal Sonic in my display? Let me know what you think I should do with Tomy Metal Sonic. Here is Jazzwares' Metal Sonic, the modern counterpart. And even though the Jazzwares Metal Sonic figure, the one I have, is a much lighter blue color than the classic figurine, they are in pretty good scale with each other. So yeah, Metal Sonic is definitely one of my favorites. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, if the blue color on Metal Sonic is a lot more palish, it's probably fake. So here is Knuckles the Echidna, and he's pretty detailed. And personally, it's kind of hard to tell. It's hard to tell with Knuckles on which one is real and which one is fake, because both of them look almost identical. So basically, if the paint jobs on Knuckles and on everyone in general, if their paint jobs are messier than like on my figure, they could be fake. It kind of depends. Cause like the Jazzwares boxes and the first 4 figures boxes, I don't think they were faked for the bootleg versions. They're usually like come in like plastic bags or something, but there are a couple of them that are boxed, but not in those, not in the officially styled boxes, but like in unique different boxes. Like there's a Sonic Mania one and there's like a Sonic Colors one. Basically, this Knuckles is like if the Tomy classic Sonic figure was just like a straight up figurine, like a PVC statue. And you could tell they're clearly identical. Here is the Knuckles, the Tomy modern Knuckles figure for comparison. Next up here is Amy, and this is one of those figures where Tomy has never made, like they were about to, but they didn't. Just like for the modern counterpart of Amy. But I'm just kind of glad we at least have a classic Amy that's in scale with the Tomy figures. And she looks really cute. You could see the details in like the shoes. And oddly enough, female hedgehogs don't have 6 spikes on the back of their heads, and they only have like 1 spike on their back. And you can also see the bottoms of her dress, which has like underwear painted on it, even though it is canon that the classic Amy does not wear underwear, because I went to this arcade place here in my state called Galloping Ghosts, and they had Sonic the Fighter, so I decided to play it. And in Amy's 3D model, she did not have any underwear, nor did any of the plushes they made of her at that time. In fact, I'm pretty sure the Tomy classic Amy figure wasn't going to have any underwear like the Boom figure was, even though I can clearly tell that the modern version was. So yeah, she looks pretty good. Unfortunately, even on a flat surface, because you could see it on like her legs, she's pretty hard to stand, so I need to find a solution. Here is the Jazzwares, the Amy figure from Jazzwares. And you could tell that's a pretty good scale, I should say. Also, another info on how to avoid any of the bootlegs. If Amy's pink is like darker, it's fake. Also, if the orange on like her skirt and on the bows of her shoes are like dark, like to the point where like it's like more than like brown and not orange, most likely fake. So, and finally, here is Supersonic, a little different from the regular Sonic. And unfortunately, he's not the best painted, in my opinion. You could see, like, a smidge of white on like the top of his stomach. And you know, his shoes are, you know, a little muddy, but not too muddy. And you know, there's like, you know, some yellow over here and over there, like overspray or underspray. That's like not supposed to be there. But when you you know, display him like this, like far like this, you know, the mistakes are not too noticeable. And he is pretty good. Unlike Tomy, has never like made a classic Supersonic figure. They were going to make a modern version, but they never made a classic version, or at least they never announced one, because like who knows, maybe it could have been part of the Silver single pack wave, because Silver was leaked once before a Tomy 3-inch Silver figure was planned, but you know, it was never officially announced by Tomy. So yeah, so how to avoid a fake version of the Supersonic figurine? Just same thing with Sonic. Like if the red parts of the shoes are like this darkish brown color, it's fake. And also if the paint on this figurine looks worse, most likely fake. But it could have been you might have just gotten a bad figurine or something. So that is basically it for Supersonic. Okay, I'll put the super formed characters on top of here. I replaced the Tomy Classic Tails, and now the first 4 figures tails is going to be right here. Yeah, sometimes these figures are not that good standing, so not so sure if I want to replace this Metal Sonic with this Metal Sonic, so please let me know if I should. And Amy, even since she can stand well, I'll put her right here. So yeah, so here's an update. I hope I can get the Jazzwares. I got some dust. Hopefully I could get the Jazzwares Eggman figure and put him over here right by Metal Sonic. So, and here are the others that I'm not going to be displaying over here. And here is my modern stuff that I just put back. So that is it. So overall, these figurines, they were pretty good. Like sometimes they have a hard time standing because of how they were packaged and how they were shipped. Like the box on mine was beaten up, but the figures were not. And I'm kind of glad those figures were official despite coming from China, but that's probably just from a warehouse. And so yeah, so if you can get this like the official pack, you know, like congratulations. If you find one, just get it, because they're pretty cheap for the most part. So yeah, so I give this pack like an A- or a B+, and thanks for watching.